Boston College adds 2 portal additions from the Blue Bloods, and these could be key adds for a revival of this defense.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network. I am glad you're here because this is a special edition of Locked On BC. We're going to be talking about the portal. This is a free daily Boston College podcast available on YouTube or wherever you've been getting your podcasts. On today's show, the Eagles add 2 transfers from Blue Bloods that add big additions to their defense. I'll explain who these 2 are and why you should care about them because they're going to make a big deal. We're going to also talk about what's the latest with Deuce Knight. We'll have all that on today's show. Now, let's get into this. So, earlier today, I was buzzing because I got some sources that explained there were 2 additions coming to BC that were going to really add a boost to the defense. And after watching last year's defense, they needed the biggest boost they could get. So, BC added earlier in the morning, and this new addition is from Notre Dame, and it's a linebacker from Notre Dame. So when I heard linebacker Notre Dame, I thought to myself, okay, you've got my attention. And so, is it going to be someone who started? No, but I think this is a guy that has huge upside. His name is Bodie Cahoun. He's a redshirt sophomore in 2026 and played almost exclusively on special teams. Now, you're saying to yourself, okay, why is this a big deal, AJ? He hasn't really played. He's only played a handful of snaps. Well, I talked to some Notre Dame folks, and I got the scoop on why Bodie Cahoun is good. First of all, when you're a linebacker at Notre Dame, that is a big deal because that school breeds linebackers. And Cahoun is a very, very athletic linebacker who one of the writers told me was one of the fastest linebackers on their team. He has very, very high upside in terms of athleticism. And he just got buried because they have, 4 or 5 potential NFL linebackers on their team. That's what happens when you're getting guys from Blue Bloods a lot of times. The difference between getting a guy who doesn't play at Syracuse and Boston College and UCLA is very different than guys that play on specific units on some of these schools. When you look at a school like Notre Dame, they have, a rich history with that linebacker position. Max Bollocks was their linebackers coach. He was a very, very good positional coach who brought in a lot of talent. Obviously, we know some of the ones that have come through. And I don't think this should be held against Cahoon as for the talent that he could bring here. He just was, his road to the starting spot was blocked. The guy that I talked to told me Cahoon would be great get. This is a Notre Dame guy. This is not a BC guy for Boston College. He loved the way he played. He said it might take him a little while to get, once you get him playing, he might have a few bumps. But once he gets himself settled, this could be a really special player. That's what BC needs. How long has it been since BC has had a special linebacker? And I'm not going to say Cahoon's going to be a special linebacker yet until we see him play. But plus athleticism, smart football player, coming from Notre Dame, all those traits that you want, athleticism, that's what's going to be a good linebacker. And to get him here, that's a big get for Boston College. So you lost almost all of your linebackers last year. You're bringing back, you went into this offseason going, okay, you have Griffin Collins, Falahe Poa, and Kamori Dixon, and that is about it. You've added Anthony Filano. You're now adding Bodie Cahoun. And you could add maybe one more, but you also add Steve Klein, who I think is going to be a terrific linebacker coming to you from New Jersey. He's a true freshman. So I think that they've done a good job here. Are they done at linebacker? I've heard buzz that they're not. I think this is a position that you could be seeing BC go and maybe grab one more player in this group. So This is the kind of transfer that you want to see at Boston College, right? High blue blood. He is older. This is his third year, so he has 3 more years of eligibility left. He has only played on special teams, but that's okay. This is a good chance for BC to get this. So going into next year, what's this linebacker room going to look like? I think a lot of folks are going to ask that, right? Well, there's going to be a lot of potential here. You could go out there with Cahoon and Filano as your starters. We don't know what Ted Roof's defense is going to look like. We'll have Mitch Wolf on later once the transfer portal stuff slows down to talk about what Roof defenses could look like. But you have those two. You also have, Kamori Dixon. It's his turn to get up there, too, right? He got hurt. You didn't get to see him play all that much. So if he gets a chance, that could be big, too. You're going to get a chance from him or Pahoa. These guys, they're here. They didn't transfer because I think they believe they have a chance to play. So you get these players, and then you get Griffin Collins. Griffin Collins only played sporadic snaps for BC last year after injuries derailed. I forget who even got. I think it was Owen McGowan got hurt, and he got in there. He looked great, but he's only going to be either a sophomore or redshirt freshman. I forget what his redshirt. I think he's going to be a sophomore. But you needed depth in your building depth. This is what the portal was all about. BC got hammered last year with injuries, but they also got hammered because they had nobody on their roster that could play. Now you've built that depth at linebacker. You've added players that can do this. The belief is these two guys, Filano and now Cahoon, are going to add some depth to that position with guys that can play. Because then maybe if you start with those two and one of them gets hurt, you have Griffin Collins. We haven't even talked about Zachary Thomas, who I think a lot of folks that I've talked to really thought one of the best linebackers they had. They just didn't play him last year. There's a lot of potential here. So the linebacking group, still question marks. It's not like a position that you're going to go, you've got Mike McLaughlin and Mark Herzlig back there. But you do have some talent, and you've done a nice job of addressing it. You didn't just go out there. I think the big deal that I would look at is you brought in somebody from Wazoo and someone from Notre Dame. You didn't go out there and bring somebody in from Elon and Valpo, right? There's a big difference there. You brought in some guys, and that's where things are at. Next, they added a second player through the portal, and this is the one everyone's talking about. I'll explain and why I don't think he's going to even play the position that you see him listed as in just a moment. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL game day, FanDuel's users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like the most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make you feel bets that way too. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go even bigger with bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. If you're listening to this episode, I'm guessing you're an everydayer because it's a Saturday night and I'm recording live and you're here listening to me. And I want to invite you, if you're an everydayer, if you live and breathe Locked On Boston College, to become part of our Everydayers Club. We have two tiers that you can join. You can join our basic tier and you get ad-free. You don't get to hear my lovely voice read you ads. You also get an invitation to our Discord, and there's a few other little perks that you can find in the show notes below. If you're a diehard, and I know many of you are, you need to become part of our all-access tier. This gives you bonus content, access to our Discord, all the other stuff I just talked about, a newsletter after every episode. You get texting with me. You get discounts on Locked On merchandise. It's a great feature, and if you haven't signed up yet, you need to, okay? The details are in that link right below, or you can go to superstream.com/LockedOnBostonCollege and sign up today. I hope to see you guys there. It's a opportunity I don't think you're going to want to miss. Now, we're talking all about the visits and commitments, and I just got someone who just sent a note on someone else visiting. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to break it right now. So Alan True, who works with me at 247, says Tennessee State offensive tackle, and I'm going to butcher his name, Vigor John Jumo, is visiting Boston College. He's a 6'8", 300-pound offensive tackle who just visited Mississippi State. So it's Vigor John Juno. I'm going to butcher that name up, right? So we want offensive tackles. This is the kind of guy you want to get, right? Like you've already grabbed a couple. You need to bring in a few. You want to bring in a few depth guys. That's perfectly what you're looking at right there. Now, the final piece of all of this, my timing on this just went bonkers. This is the piece that we're going to talk about, that everyone wants to talk about, which is Deuce Knight. And I keep talking about it because everyone wants to talk about it, even though I don't feel like he's coming here. So the dominoes continue to fall for Knight. And the latest addition to the Deuce Knight notes is that he is taking an official visit to Ole Miss. We've seen on 3, I think they did their forecast to say that Ole Miss is going to land him. I think the odds are getting slimmer and slimmer for Deuce, and that is where things are at. Now, Ole Miss also had DJ Lagway on yesterday or today too, so they could be going in another direction. And so your last 2 threads of hope, in my opinion, Deuce Knight will end up at Boston College, is that Trinidad Chambliss's waiver appeal gets approved, and we have no idea if that's going to happen or not, and that Lagway commits. And those are not non-zero chances that either of those could happen. So I don't want to say that the odds are done. I do think, I also wonder too, and I don't know where his head is at. I'm not Deuce Knight here. I almost want to say that if it's Lagway that goes there, or, I mean, either of these guys, he may be content to just sit there and wait to see if Ole Miss for a reason and be their backup and then become the starter next year. So I think that's another thing to think about too. Like maybe if his mind is there, he's okay to do that. Even if he's like, you have the chance to be a starter this year, he may say, you know what, I'm going to probably get better pay and it's a greater scene at Ole Miss or whatever, and just stick with them. So that is the other piece that we're talking about with that piece. And I just jumped ahead. That's why the numbers didn't make sense. My third segment, my brain is fried today. We'll get to the second part in a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm like, why is my timer all messed up? Well, so the other piece with Deuce, the other piece that we should talk about with Deuce is if he doesn't sign, if he goes someplace else, and I still think the odds are very slim that he ends up at BC, would BC go for a experienced quarterback to add to the room? Because my biggest gripe and my biggest concern with the quarterback room is they got 4 quarterbacks. That's great. They got 4 quarterbacks that possibly have good potential. That's also great. They also have no quarterback that's ever thrown a P5, a Power 4 pass yet. You've got Mason McKenzie who played D2, and then you've got 3 younger quarterbacks. To me, it seems very concerning that they would go into next year with nobody that ever played a 4 game, ever. That seems kind of counterintuitive. Now, they may think Mason McKenzie is the best quarterback in the world, or they're looking at Grayson Wilson and saying, okay, he could do it too. Just as someone who just sat through a 2-10 season, I would think you'd want to make sure that the issues that had hit BC does not happen again. That you don't go into next season with an issue that you could have addressed. And they've had guys that have come in that have played, whether it's Devin Brown. I know some folks have been asking about Eli Holstein from from Pitt. I have not heard anything, and honestly, I do believe that if they do not get Deuce Knight, that I think they're going to sit with the 4 quarterbacks they have. And that does worry me. And maybe they'll prove me wrong. And that's fine. Like I'm not at that quarterback room. I'm not practicing with that team. I'm just saying from an outside observer, that's a concern that I have. And it seems like it'd be a flaw in your roster going into next year. But hey, Bill O'Brien gets, he's the head coach for a reason. So maybe he thinks something definitely different. So the final piece I want to get to is what I was going to talk about before, but I didn't even get a chance to talk about it because I kind of got sidetracked by a tweet that I got and then got to the wrong segment. So we will talk about Chris Jones in just a moment. Locked On Boston College, AJ Black here of Eagle Insider. Thank you for making Locked On BC part of your daily routine, and thank you all of you who have hit that subscribe button. We are less than 200 away from 3,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel. If you have not done so already, please subscribe. It does make a big difference. It helps us in the algorithm. It helps new people find us. It's a little thing you can do. You can also join our All Access tier. That does help a lot too. Now, and it's a great service. I promise you I'm doing a lot of work to make sure that you guys are happy with what I give you. Now, the second piece, the addition that BC added to their transfer portal haul, goes down to Athens, Georgia, as BC added Chris Jones, an outside linebacker edge from Georgia. He's got 3 years of remaining eligibility, and he's a big addition. And this was broken by me. I have my sources. I confirmed it with Chris Jones. He is signed with Boston College. So, hey, see, I am an Eagle Insider, and I know what I'm talking about. Now, Chris Jones is a 6'2", 230-pound. He's listed as a linebacker on 247. But here's where I disagree with where things are at with that. BC has a bunch of linebackers. They don't have a lot of edge rushers, and he's the perfect build for an edge rusher. And I was talking to Mitch Wolf about this too. I think they're going to move him to outside linebacker / edge. That's where I think he's going to be needed more. And this is a big addition there because when you look at what Chris Jones did, you can see why this is and was a big addition for the Eagles. So Jones was a top 247 recruit, which means he's in the top 247 recruits in his class in 2023. And he had an offer list that was every SEC school you can think of: Georgia, Auburn, Miami, Michigan. All these schools offered him, and he ended up at Georgia. Obviously, this is someone I believe that probably has a good connection with Kenyatta Watson. And, he, just like what we just talked about with Cahoon, is the type of player that got buried behind an incredible defense. Like, that's the thing when you're talking about Notre Dame and Georgia. You're bringing in players that are on elite defenses. So if they don't play a lot, it's not that they're bad. It's that they're just, there's blue chip elite 5-star recruits that are just blocking their path. And that's probably what happened with Jones. You look at Georgia's recruiting classes, they make you, they are in a different stratosphere than what Boston College can do. So to get him here, a guy that was a blue chip, to get him, with 3 years remaining, is a huge addition to a pass rush that is in need of a star. You lost Donovan Azaraku 2 years ago. You didn't have anybody this year other than Quintavious Hutchins, who did an admirable job but was nowhere near that kind of player. Now you go into the new phase of this. You brought in Demetrius Ballard from Buffalo, who is a really high upside edge rusher. You bring in Israel Oladapopo, who is a redshirt freshman who showed some streaks, and then you got Favor Bate and Ella Boykin, who both had spurts, and you have some depth now at edge. You may want to get one more, but you're starting to like what you're seeing here because you now have 4 guys that you can roll out there and play a little bit more fast and loose with how you rush the rush the quarterback. Adding Jones really signifies to me that this portal process, the one that I heard over and over again was going to be different this year, truly is different. Because I sat here a year ago and I was telling you about recruits from Campbell, Valpo, Elon, and Merrimack. and a couple from Alabama that just knew Bill O'Brien. Look at the difference in what they're doing now. You have a player from Alabama who on the defensive side, so probably not a Bill guy. You have someone from Florida State. You have someone from Georgia. You have someone from Notre Dame. You have someone from, all these other, got two from Maryland. You're bringing in quality players and hopefully high upside guys that can do what Bill O'Brien needs them to do, which is come in with a good skill set that he can coach up, because that's what he continues to preach is what he wants to do with this roster is coach them up. So you bring in a blue chip like Chris Jones, who's in his third year. So he's not like high school shape and raw and all these guys that it's going to take a while. He's right in that prime year where you can really get him out there. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And now you're looking at your defense and look at what you've lost. Okay? You lost three players, I would say, that impact where things are going. You lost Omar Thornton, Amari Jackson, and Bam Crouch. Have you been able to replace them? At corner, not yet. You brought in a Cameron Phillips, I think, or Jordan Phillips. I'm totally butchering his name. The kid from Georgia State. You brought him in. He's not going to be Amari Jackson. You brought in a safety in Cam Howard from Alabama, and he's not going to be the same as Omar Thornton, but I don't think Omar Thornton was as everyone thought he was. He was like fourth in the nation in missed tackles. So that's something to think about too. And then Bam Crouch, I think, honestly, the linebacking group right now is in better shape than what they had last year with Bam Crouch. So that's just my perspective there. They still have spots that they can still fix things. I still think they're looking at cornerbacks. I don't think they're done there. I think they're still looking at offensive linemen. I just mentioned the one that I just got linked on just a couple minutes ago. They still have those spots, and there's plenty of good players out there, and I think they have like 10 more spots they can fill. So it's not like things are done yet. I like the way that they're building this depth. I think that's the big key here, is that they're building it with quality. Chris Jones is their highest rated transfer. He's an 88. I think he's number 11 in terms of linebackers. But really, this is why they're getting good for BC. Now, as I said earlier, the quarterback position still is something that will give me nightmares for the next 6 months, but we'll have to wait and see what these guys can do. And I'm still not sold on the offensive line, but again, I just mentioned there's a target that could be coming in. Now, this is where things kind of wrap things up for the day. So I think things are going to continue to evolve. Sunday, they have a couple more they can do this for. And classes start next week, and I'm sure they're going to probably get exemptions to get guys in a little later. But they need to get this done. They're going to start to need to wrap things up soon. So, I said 10. There may be some other spots I just don't know about yet. So maybe it's 10 to 12, 10 to 13 more spots. This is crazy. Like, by the end of all of this, BC is going to have flipped over potentially almost half of their roster between graduation and transfer portal. I never thought this would happen at Boston College, but after a 2-10 season, anything is possible. Thank you all. Hope you guys are all having a great Saturday night. Again, become part of our All Access tier. I hope to see you guys over there. And thank you all for making Locked On Boston College part of your daily routine. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Check me out on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. I'm everywhere. You can check me out there, and I'll see you all again soon for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.